Hey, what's up guys? Alex here with a new video, and today we're finally doing the review on the Canon EOS R. This review is not going to be covering the specs. I feel like there's tons of videos on YouTube that have already done that. I'm going to strictly focus on my experience as a wedding photographer and why I think this is Canon's best camera on the market. Now, I'll start off with a little backstory of how I got the camera, and then I'll go ahead and outline my 3 pros and my 2 cons of this camera. And then we'll wrap up the review. So before we get to the pros and cons, throughout this review, I'll also be posting pictures that I've taken with the camera to kind of showcase some of the things I'm talking about. This is being filmed with my second EOS R in 4K 10-bit with the Atomos Ninja 5. So if you wanted to see a video quality test, you're seeing it right now. But anyways, so this camera came out, zero intentions of liking it. I bought it because it was Canon's first full-frame mirrorless camera and I wanted to give it a shot. I was shooting with a 1DX Mark II, a 5D Mark IV. I was happy. And then I got my hands on this bad boy. I guess that's gonna lead to the first major pro of this camera. One thing that caught me really off guard was its focusing system. So not necessarily how fast it is, because it's extremely fast, but how accurate it is. And I don't think that's a thing that's mentioned often. So I was shooting with a 1DX Mark II, and phenomenal camera. This is Canon's flagship, $6,500 or $6,000 now. It does everything you can imagine it can do. And if you can't produce great images with that camera, then you shouldn't be a photographer. But regardless, I can't say I was getting absolutely the sharpest images I've ever gotten. Now, I was getting great images, but nothing ever has stood out to me as just tack sharp. And that's because SLRs use a focusing system. So it doesn't even vary by model of camera. It can vary by the camera itself. So one 1DX Mark II might need some focusing adjustments on a particular lens, and another 1DX Mark II might not, right? And the focusing isn't happening at the sensor level. It's happening with the focusing system in front of it, right? So it can lead to inaccurate focus, front focusing, rear focusing. It's just the nature of the beast. With mirrorless cameras, it's a little different. So you're focusing using the sensor. So when this camera came out, I remember the day it came out, there was no RF lenses available other than the 24-105, which I had zero interest in. So I got the adapter, slapped on my Canon lenses, and off the bat, I was blown away. I couldn't really pinpoint what it was, and then it hit me. I was getting some incredibly sharp results with my existing glass. My 51.2 was all of a sudden sharper. My 35-1.4 Mark II was incredibly sharp. So when I was looking at the results, not only was the adapter working flawlessly with Canon EF glass, but it was breathing new life into my lenses, and that alone was making me gravitate to grab this body. So I think one thing that's very underrated is how accurate the focusing is on this camera, because it is amazing. So my second reason, RF glass. So if the adapter and the body breathes new life into EF lenses, the RF glass is just supercharged. This new 51.2 lens is my new all-time favorite lens, the best lens I've ever used. It is sharp at 1.4. It's even sharp at 1.2. It's usable at 1.2. That's incredible to say. I have a review on it, and I'll post a link below if you want to check it out. This lens with the EOS R is just a joy to use. So the images I'm getting are incredible. So when this lens came out, I picked it up, and again, I'm gravitating towards the EOS R. And the interesting part about it was I could not get the 1DX Mark II out of my hands. Every photo shoot I had, every wedding that I had, that was my go-to body. And slowly I started integrating the EOS R into my workflow, and I realized that the EOS R with this lens was becoming my go-to. I was using it more, I was becoming more adventurous, and I realized that this combo was just making me happy. It was inspiring me, and it was giving me images that completely blew me away. With the 1DX Mark II, 5D Mark IV, don't get me wrong, great cameras, great focusing systems, but you still would have that occasional miss. You still would hunt from time to time, which is something I've gotten accustomed to. But when you pair the EOS R with RF glass, it's just incredibly fast, sharp. It hits, I don't want to say 100% of the time, but I'm just getting so many more keepers. And again, just blew me away. So my first reason is focus accuracy. My second reason is RF glass. Absolutely stunning. And the third reason why I love the EOS R is just how well it integrated into my workflow. I'm a Canon shooter. I picked up this camera, zero learning curve. The buttons made sense. The menu was the exact same menu I've been working with for years. I can adapt my existing EF glass, so I don't have to necessarily dive 100% in to RF lenses, which I wish I could. It's just there's not that many out right now. But because there's not that many out right now, you really have to rely on the adapter and its compatibility with EF glass. So if it wasn't as good with EF glass or as responsive or as fast, it'd really be a deal breaker because all my existing lenses would be kind of useless, right? Sitting kind of on the wayside. So I think just the way it integrates with your workflow, the way it works with EF glass, its backward compatibility, it's kind of the third reason why I just fell in love with this camera. Now, before I go into what I did, let me go ahead and talk about some cons. So people can complain about the megapixels, they can complain about the frame rate or the frames per second. People can complain about the 4K, IBIS. None of that really matters to me. I've produced amazing images. I think I'm producing great quality video right now with this setup. So those are specs on paper. Would IBIS be amazing? Yes. Would it be a helpful tool? Yes. Is it absolutely necessary? Nah. There's been amazing images produced in the past without IBIS. So I think those are all nice add-ons, but they don't really impact the day-to-day use for me. But the two things I would change that would absolutely just make this a dream camera, if I could just add two things and leave everything else the same, this would be just the ultimate perfect camera for me. First one's first is dual card slots. So I am a wedding photographer. I do use these for weddings. I do have a backup system in place. It's still just a bit scary. Yeah, if one card fails catastrophically, you're shit out of luck, right? So having that two SD card slots here would just reinforce kind of the confidence throughout the wedding day and would absolutely just bolster, I think, the pro levelness, I'm making up words here, of the camera. And the second thing would be a joystick. So the touchscreen interface is amazing to use. I don't really have any issues with the focusing point, but sometimes it's just nice to have that tactile feel. Right now it's winter time, it's cold, so you're using gloves and that touchscreen becomes a little bit obsolete. So in times like this, a joystick would be very helpful. But other than that, those are the only two things I would add to this camera, and in my opinion would be the dream camera. I like this camera so much that I have two of them now. I sold my 1DX Mark II, and now my wedding kit is two EOS Rs and 5D Mark IV. So I've gone all in on this system. The 51.2 RF lens is my favorite. I'm going to be picking up the 28-70 f2 here shortly, and I'm in love with this system. I think it's really easy to look at the specs of a camera and discredit it or talk mess about it. It's really easy to pick up this camera, do a YouTube review after a weekend and say how it's not up to par with other cameras, but using it in real weddings with real couples, real shoots for the last few months, I can honestly tell you it's my favorite Canon camera. I love it, I enjoy using it, and I'm still in love with the results I'm getting out of it. So I'm really excited for the future of this mount and the future of mirrorless with Canon. Yes, they're a little slow to adopt some features, but I think where they really deliver is their lenses and just their image quality. When you compare it to other systems, and it will come up. I have used Sony, I have used Nikon, I haven't used Nikon's mirrorless, but Sony was phenomenal. Their technology is far beyond, I think, any other competitors. I don't think they have a particular lens that really stands out. They have great lenses. Like their G Master lenses are sharp, they're fast, they're responsive. I can't ever remember picking up a lens and being inspired and wanting to use it more. There's really nothing special there, and that's going to be subjective, right? So you might like a particular lens more than another. Nikon, I used their D810 back in the day. Phenomenal camera, dynamic range just beyond what you will ever need. Again, there's not a single lens that I just wanted to use day in and day out. but Canon just always kind of has that, I think, that it factor with lenses, color science. The 35-1.4 Mark II is one of my favorite lenses of all time. And now the 50-1.2 RF is just mind-blowing. So I think when you have lenses, when you have a system that inspires you to shoot, that makes you want to go out there and shoot, that's the system for you. And for me, I've chosen the EOS R. So again, I highly recommend you try out the camera. I'm not gonna say it's the camera for you. Everybody has different workflows. This has been the camera that's worked out for me. But guys, just a quick review on my opinions on why I love the Canon EOS R and why I completely switched to this system. So hopefully you like the video, hopefully you like the video quality. And as always, please like the video, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.